effects on our life. Now, as we all know, microorganisms are present everywhere in nature and they have a great influence on human beings, plants and animals. Now, this effect of microorganisms may be positive or it may be negative. Now, some microorganisms are very harmful for human beings as well as plants and animals. Now, at this point, when these microorganisms are harmful for us, it is very important to control these microorganisms. Now, for controlling these microorganisms, there are various methods. The physical method, which we have discussed in our previous video, that is control of microorganisms by using physical methods. Second is the chemical methods that we are going to discuss in this video, and one more method is that is gaseous method. So there are variety of non-volatile chemicals that are used in sterilization and disinfection process. Now here many non-volatile chemicals can be used in controlling these microorganisms, in specifically in these two processes, that is sterilization and disinfection. Now the chemical substances are generally used on large scale in microbial laboratories for purpose of sterilization of work areas, desks, glasswares, hand gloves. So these are some of the areas where these chemicals are used in the process of sterilization and disinfection. Now let's see the chemicals that are used in sterilization and disinfection. So alcohols are used, aldehydes, phenolic compounds, halogens, oxidizing agents, heavy metals, surface active agents, as well as dyes. So these are the 8 agents that are used in chemical sterilization and disinfection process. Let's start with first one, that is alcohols. Now alcohol is used for sterilization and disinfection of microorganisms. It kills bacteria, fungi and some enveloped viruses, but some resistant fungal spores remain unaffected. So alcohol specifically act on bacteria, fungi and some enveloped viruses, but there are some resistant spores which remain unaffected by these alcohols. Further, alcohol dissolve membrane lipids and denature protein of microorganism, resulting in lysis of cell. Now what is the mode of action of alcohol? Alcohol, it first of all, it dissolves the membrane lipids. See, here we have told some enveloped viruses. The envelope of viruses is made with the cell membrane of the cell from which these viruses comes out. When these viruses comes out, they take a part of this cell membrane of a cell and then they carry out the lysis of the cell. So this alcohol can dissolve the membrane lipids, that is they can kill the enveloped viruses, as well as further they denature the proteins which are present in microorganisms and which cause lysis of cells. Now 70% ethyl alcohol is used as a surgical spirit and antiseptic, especially for sterilization of hands. So in laboratories, in hospitals, we can say 70% ethyl alcohol is used. Now this is also called as a surgical spirit and it is mainly used for washing the hands, for we can say sterilizing our hands, and also it is used as a antiseptic. Further, isopropyl alcohol is used as a skin antiseptic. So for sterilization of a skin surface also isopropyl alcohol is. Second one is aldehydes. Aldehydes are used as a chemical sterilant. Okay, aldehydes acts on nucleic acid and proteins present in the cell and inactivates the cell. Now the mode of action of aldehyde is nucleic acid and protein. It acts on these two biomolecules and then it causes inactivation of the cell and further the lysis of the cell takes place. Now aldehydes are sporadical in nature and have ability to kill spores. See, generally this resistant spores, the elimination or we can say killing of these spores is very difficult. But here aldehydes are sporadical in nature. When specifically you want to inhibit the fungal spores, you can use aldehydes because it has the ability to kill the spores. Here in sterilization and disinfection, there are 3 types of aldehydes are used. The first one is formaldehyde, second is glutaraldehyde, and third one is orthophthaldehyde. So let's see this aldehydes in detail. The first one is formaldehyde, second is glutaraldehyde, and the third one is orthophthaldehyde. Let's see the details of formaldehyde. It is an effective liquid decontaminant. It is used in surface and space decontamination. So whenever you want to decontaminate any surface area, for example your working area or your working desk, you can say, where you are going to carry out various microbial experiments, there you can use formaldehyde for decontamination of that surface area. Formaldehyde gas is used for sterilization of closed areas. It is used for fumigation of operation theatres. So this formaldehyde, it is used for fumigation in operation theatres, that is decontamination of operation theatres in hospitals is done by fumigation of formaldehyde. It is also used for preservation of anatomical specimens. So the biologically important specimens, the specimens may be of plants or animals. So these specimens are preserved in formaldehyde liquid. Okay. Further, the next one is glutaraldehyde. It is less toxic and less corrosive in nature. It is used for sterilization of endoscopes and cytoscopes. The third one is orthophthaldehyde. It is also used for sterilization of endoscopes and cytoscopes. So these both formaldehydes, that is glutaraldehyde and orthophthaldehyde, are used for sterilization of these two biologically important equipments, endoscope and cytoscope. It is a highly effective disinfectant which is used for sterilization of medical instruments which are heat sensitive. So there are various medical instruments that are used in our biological laboratories as well as hospitals, research centers, and these instruments are heat sensitive. And here these aldehydes, that is glutaraldehyde and orthophthaldehyde, are used for sterilization of these types of instruments. Now let's see the third one, that is phenolic compound. Phenols such as resol, xylenol, lysol, orthophenylphenol are used as disinfectant and sterilant in hospitals and laboratories. So such phenols are used as disinfectant and sterilant. Now these phenols, that are resol, xylenol, lysol and orthophenol, they may be toxic and irritant to our skin. So they may cause allergies to our skin. So such phenolic compounds are not used as antiseptics. So they are not applied on our skin, but they can be used as disinfectant. But whereas there are some phenols which are less toxic and irritant to skin, and these phenol can persist in skin for longer time. Now some are harmful phenols which are not used as antiseptic. On the other hand, there are some phenols that are less toxic and less irritant to skin, and these phenols can stay on our skin for longer period of time and can act there for longer period of time. The examples are hexachlorophenol, phenyl, that is active ingredient of Savlon. As we know, Savlon, Dettol, these are antiseptic, or we can say hand sanitizers or disinfectant compounds that we use in our house also. So this hexachlorophenyl, it is an active ingredient of Savlon. The second one is chloroxylenol. It is active ingredient of Dettol. So this is about phenolic compound. The fourth one is halogens. Halogens like iodine, chlorine are used as skin antiseptics and disinfectant. So these are the both halogens, that is iodine and chlorine, which can be used as antiseptic as well as disinfectant. Iodine is commonly used as skin antiseptic. It oxidizes cell and iodinate the cellular proteins and kill the microorganisms. So this iodine makes some changes in the cellular molecule, or we can say it oxidizes the cells and iodinates the cellular proteins. It makes such kind of changes in that microorganism that the microorganism get killed. whereas chlorine is most commonly used as disinfectant. It is used in municipal water supply units, swimming pools, dairy and food industry. So iodine is used as skin antiseptic as well as chlorine is used as disinfectant. So chlorine is used as a bleaching agent to remove stains from clothes. So this is one more use of chlorine. It is used for removing stains from the clothes. The fifth one is oxidizing agent. Hydrogen peroxide. It is a chemical sterilant. Hydrogen peroxide means H2O2. Okay, hydrogen peroxide liberates hydrogen free radicals which are toxic to cells. These radicals attack on the membrane and other cell organelles such as DNA and lipids, which cause lysis of the cell, and it is used for sterilization of contact lenses, ventilators and plasma sterilization. So H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide, first of all it is a chemical sterilant. What it does, it liberates its hydrogen free radicals. Okay, these free radicals act on the cell. Now where they act, these free radicals go and attack on the cell membrane as well as other organelles of the cell such as DNA, lipids, and then it cause lysis of the cells. So this H2O2 is used as a disinfectant. Further, it is used for sterilization of contact lenses, ventilators and in plasma sterilization. Second one is para-acetic acid. It is used in plasma sterilization as well as disinfection of endoscopes. It is very corrosive in nature. And the third one is plasma sterilization. Now what is plasma sterilization? This is a new term. It is a recently introduced sterilization technique in which uniform vacuum and sterilization is maintained. Now there is a chamber where a uniform vacuum and sterilization condition is maintained. Now what happens here, mixture of para-acetic acid and hydrogen peroxide is used in presence of ultraviolet rays, that too at low temperature for sterilization. Now here how the sterilization is done, the mixture of para-acetic acid and hydrogen peroxide is used first of all, then secondly here ultraviolet rays are used and the temperature is maintained at low temperature is maintained, we can say, for sterilization, and in this chamber a uniform vacuum and sterilization is maintained. Okay, this is called as plasma. The sixth one is heavy metal salts. Okay, heavy metals are of limited use and they can be bacteriostatic or bactericidal in nature. Now bacteriostatic means these heavy metals may stop the growth of bacteria, and bactericidal means they may inhibit the bacteria, they may kill the bacteria. Okay, the heavy metal salts combine with the protein of cells, especially with sulfahydryl group of protein, and carry out precipitation of cell proteins. Now what happens when these heavy metal salts come in contact with cells? They go and combine with the protein, they go and attach with the protein. Now which protein? Especially the sulfahydryl group of proteins, and after combining with this protein they carry out precipitation and may cause lysis of the cell or they may stop the growth of that cell. Now silver sulfadizine used on burned skin surface. Okay, whenever the skin gets burned, the outermost covering of the skin, the protective layer, is damaged and the skin gets more prone to infection from microorganisms. Now to protect the skin from various infections from microorganisms, silver sulfadizine is used. Copper sulfate is an effective algicide as well as fungicide in nature. So it is used as algicide and fungicide in nature. Mercury salts are used as antiseptics in past. So in previous times when the techniques were not more developed, the mercuric salts were used as antiseptic. Seventh one is surface active agents. Surface active agents are the chemical substances that lower down the surface tensions between two liquids or between a solid and a liquid. Now see, each and every matter, whether it may be a liquid or a solid, it has its specific surface tension. And what these surface active agents do, they reduces the surface tension of this two states, whether it may be liquid or a solid. Now how can they do it? The surface active agents can lower down this surface tension because they have both, that is they have a polar hydrophilic end as well as non-polar hydrophobic end, so they can reduce the surface tension. And the examples are emulsifier, wetting agents and detergents. Now how they act we will see. First of all, there are three types of surface reagents. First one is cationic surfactants. It damages cell membrane of a bacterial cell and denatures protein. Now they are non-toxic in nature and used as disinfectants for cleaning food, utensils and small instruments. So the liquid detergent specifically, for examples which we use in our house for cleaning of utensils or and small instruments are cationic surfactants. The example: acetyl trimethyl ammonium bromide, acryl methyl ammonium salts. Now the second one is anionic surfactants. They are strong detergents but have weak antimicrobial property. For example, soap. So the soaps which we used in our day-to-day life are anionic surfactants. They are strong detergents but they are weak in the antimicrobial activity. So they can't kill all microorganisms. And the third one is amphoteric surfactants. They are used as detergents as well as disinfectant. Example: Tego compounds that are used in dental practices. So these are used as detergents as well as disinfectants. And the eighth one is dye. Dyes such as aniline and acridine are extensively used as a skin and wound antiseptics. Aniline dye, it is non-toxic, non-irritant to skin. It is activity gets reduces due to presence of organic matter such as pus. So generally this aniline dye, it is used on skin. First of all, it is non-toxic and non-irritant, but its activity, that is its disinfection activity, or it is used as antiseptic. Its activity get reduced when an organic matter is present, such as if there is an infection and if there is a pus, this aniline dye will not act properly on that area, because of the pus. The examples of aniline dye are crystal violet, malachite green, brilliant green. These dyes mainly target gram-positive bacteria and acts on synthesis of peptidoglycan, which is present in the cell wall of cell and cause lysis of cell. So how they carry out their sterilization? First of all, they basically target on gram-positive bacterial cell. They act on the synthesis of the peptidoglycan, that is they act on the cell wall synthesis and cause lysis of cell. Second is acridine dye. They are also non-toxic and non-irritant. The activity of a dye don't get affected by presence of any organic matter such as pus. So this acridine dye is very effective. It can act on the skin surface even though there is an infection or there is an pus. Its activity is strong. It is non-toxic, non-irritant, and it doesn't get affected by presence of any organic matter. Examples are acrylflavin, euflavin, proflavin. These dyes inhibit the growth of gram-negative bacteria. It acts on nucleic acid and protein synthesis of bacteria. The first one was aniline dye. It acts on gram-positive bacteria and cell wall synthesis. Second one is acridine dye. It acts on gram-negative bacteria and acts on nucleic acid and protein synthesis.